So fire and gasoline said I mounted it too far down, and so I decided to do a little bit of image manipulation here and some cropping and lighting and blah blah blah, and I can actually kind of see what's going on with the reprint. And also I did find my new cartridge for my printer and put the new cartridge in, so now it's printing a lot darker. And now I can actually see these lines, and I can actually see some details now. So I guess this should probably mount more like maybe here. We'll see. Alright, so I didn't want to record the mess of trying to use a drill gun again, but the battery-powered electric drill was working best. I am now rethreading the hole, and then I'll put the nuts on the other side. And I wonder if that fell off.
Don't stick your tongue in it like that again. Take a drink and stir that shit. I saw you stick your tongue in it. I can see movement.
Is she French in your beer?
Yes. Yes, it still tastes good.
So in the idler here, you see we got a grade 8 bolt, a couple steel washers, a couple washers and spacers from the original, and that'll go here, and it puts me at about the same height. I might actually take a washer off. And then a nut and a washer go on the other side.
What? Yeah, he's got better health care and is probably in a hell of a lot better shape. Let me have the same ability to make myself healthy too that he has, then we can see. If not, I would be eating a hell of a lot more healthy. I would make you feel full like pizza does. That's a vegetarian food that, as long as there's no meat on it. Pizza's fucking vegetarian.
Why would you want to eat food with no meat? That's a sin.
What?
Eating food without meat is a sin. Alright, I think I know what I'm going to use for my linkage. Drilling is going to be a nightmare, but cutting will be easy. You can use my angle grinder, and I know it'll be reliable because this is like at least 3 times thicker than my frame. Not to make a good linkage, right? It used to be the old blade deck control arm thing. Thickest piece of metal on the machine. Hey, now that pulley goes the right way. I put a longer bolt on it, and I got more washers on it because it was required to make it not hit this, and it still slightly does. But it won't be a problem. It's just this guy catching the belt guard thing. And I'm changed. So before I had a nut going directly into this thing, but since I went back to the hardware store and got more washers, it's going to be washer, then bigger washer to help, you know, make it less likely to warp metal with all the tension and stuff I'm going to be putting on here. Now I think about it, I probably should have put another one here, but oh well. This side's going to be the hard mount side anyways. So then I'm going to use nut, and since I have more room, lock thread, and then another nut. The 2 nuts are going to be locked together with a lock, or a lock washer. Alright, there we go. There we go. Alright, so my plan is I'm going to draw a small hole at the Dremel, because that's high speed and it should be a lot easier. And then I'll do the big hole with the big drill, so I can have everything where I want it. So I just go straight to that big drill, but it's going to go all over the place. I was a little bit off on my drilling in the center bit, so I had half it painted and it made it really hard to tell where the center was. And the fact it's longer on this side and that side. Hopefully this won't be a problem. One side's going to have more leverage than the other. Alright, so my attempt to get this linkage bit in here, I couldn't do this by hand, so I shoved this conduit through it and really cranked on it. And now I got to do a little bit of cutting and hole drilling. I've had to tear this down and rebuild it a lot, and I've had to put a lot of little bends in this linkage, and I'm hoping that it's going to work out now. This is my linkage bending setup. I got a vise, and to hold it still, I got a piece of pipe sticking to the end here. And then sometimes this piece will go through here, or I might have it going through here, and then I might stick this through here and stand on this, and I'll take the big pipe and bend the other side. There's a lot of pipe and bending. After a bit more bending, Try to obtain the perfect shape and length. So my spring tension is going to be stretched all the way up here. That's not going to exist. This isn't going to exist. This guy's going to be come along all the way there again. That spring's going to attach right there. And it took a lot of denial and error to get here, but let's lock it. Whew. So to get this pulley on, I'm going to need to hammer on it, so I'm going to have to take the transaxle off. But if I'm taking the transaxle off, I'm going to go a little bit further. I got a Fender shifter to steal. Since I got the back end off, I kind of want to take care of some of this rust before it becomes holes. This is all the more I'm going to get it for now. I'll strip this whole thing down and redo everything later in the future when I have more tools. I want to get a wire wheel for my angle grinder. And this whole thing's getting a paint job eventually. Right now I'm just trying to stop the rust underneath here where I can't easily access. And it's drizzling out, and I didn't dry that. So probably should dry that. Alright, so the rally is going to get a big hole cut in here, and it's going to get the shifter from Dinky. And this piece already broke on here from me rolling it before. I know, I like to roll things, right? And I've got all the Fender shifter out stuff, and I've taken the cover and I've sat it on here and spray painted it. I'm going to take the angle grinder to get the initial cut for this, and then for smaller cuts I'm going to use this skill saw, and I just got or sawzall, and I just got a new end for it, a new blade. I went through all the bullshit to steal the Fender shifter over here, cut out a spot for the other shifter to go, but it's all for nothing. It's all for nothing though. Because even though I changed this chunk of the linkage, apparently this chunk still has to change too. Because apparently spicers are fucking retarded. And they're different than Peerless is. The really dirty one's Peerless, the cleaner one's Spicer. It's a little bit different there, and the mounting angle is different for where the shifter position needs to be. So Spicer and Peerless are not just interchangeable apparently. Stuff still ain't lining up right, but I think if I adjust this linkage here I can get it, because it's really close. Like, this thing is just a quarter of a turn off from being right. Like, and I try putting it in a high gear, this thing wants to actually be smashed into the pole that comes up for the shifting tension bearing spring thing it has. So, yeah, it's just going to be in the right position, but I stole the shifter out of that guy, which honestly might make me not want to continue with that build unless I find another shifter. Because that thing already is just a mountain of work. Oh, are you kidding me? I just broke a leg off my tripod. That linkage is adjusted as short as it can get, and it still isn't working. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to extend that arm coming out. Yay, more drilling, more cutting. I'm sick of fabricating. I want to let you know why this is taking days for me to get done instead of weeks. Because there's constantly something doesn't work, something needs to be torn apart, then put back together, and torn apart, and put back together. And then every once in a while I make a screw up like this where everything's going perfect. But then I do something like put the belt out here, and then I gotta take all this fucking shit off just so I can fucking have this thing work. I drained the oil out, but apparently there's still enough to get in the cylinder. It took a lot of playing around, but I got it right. See, right there is reverse. And that shaft is moving. Put it in neutral. No shaft is moving. Now, this will not work with a higher geared transmission. This is only a 3-speed. It will not work because that part will hit. When the time comes, I'll have to make another linkage to make that work. I just did something a bit ridiculous. The clutch is really hard for me to push in now. I would not be able to do it while holding the camera. I need to cut this wire here, but yeah, I wrapped a twisted wire in a screwdriver and twisted around another end of a screwdriver and pulled it out and used that as a handle to stretch this spring out. And that one I just put it through the screwdriver and stretched out. So I have a tensioner spring, one pulling up this way and one pulling back this way on this linkage, putting an absurd amount of force in this. I will not have pulley tension issues. It is really hard to push that. I mean, I can't even do it by hand. Okay, so we have the clutch from hell, and I've just got done fine-tuning the length of this linkage down here. So, reverse, first, I fine-tuned it so this happens. Yep, and see, I can't shift up while I'm here. I can't shift up, I can't shift. Okay, I guess I did just shift up, whoops. I guess if I push it up here, I can shift up, so this hole needs cut back a bit. For the most part, it's pretty good, though. That's how I shift up. I guess if I wanted, that'd be a quick way to slam in the first. Okay, that's how the shift up, I gotta push it. Now it's in first. Interesting. I actually might be able to use it to my advantage because first gear is a hard gear to hit without slipping through. I'm actually pretty proud of that.